Welcome back to Brush Away Boredom. I'm your host, Keith, and I don't know where you live, but where I live, it's been really cold, and we've had a lot of snow. So, just came in from outside and thought maybe we could do a little project together. A friend of mine said, Keith, when are you going to do some nature scenes? So I thought this would be the perfect time to maybe make a nice winter nature scene. We're going to use watercolor, and give me a few minutes here to warm back up. I'm going to get some coffee and maybe start the fireplace, and we'll get back and get to it. So, welcome back to this episode. Starting off here with a piece of watercolor paper. I'm not sure it's cold press. But then what I'm doing here is I'm laid a piece of masking tape down, and then I use some rubber, liquid rubber, to continue to mask off a lot of these areas that I don't want any color on right now. So I did both sides of the tape and did the trees in the foreground right there. So I know a lot of you wondering where I've been. I've bought a new house, and have a larger area to studio to paint in, and but of course, I bought the house and I had to do a lot of renovations, so it's taken me quite a while to get that done. I'm still not done, but I'm working on it, so it's a work in progress. So thought I would go ahead and put out this video for you guys to enjoy. And I guess we should probably start off with the joke of the day, the dad joke of the day. So if you live in an igloo, what's the worst thing about global warming? If you live in an igloo, what's the worst thing about global warming? No privacy. And we might as well go ahead and do another one, because Grandma's been staring through the window ever since it started to snow. If it gets any worse, I'll have to let her in. So there you have it. There's two dad jokes for you. So I started off by just wetting the whole top half of the paper there, and so it's a wet on wet technique, and I laid in some color for the sky and some clouds, and then I just started working in some trees. The technique when you're talking about watercolor is that it's basically you're working from light, and you're adding layers, going darker and darker and darker. Where if you're working with like, let's say acrylic, you kind of start off darker and you build up your light layers on top of each layer. So it's kind of reversed. If you truly want to get that leave any white areas, that's where you have to kind of leave your masking to. You're able to pull up a little bit of the color, but not really ever make it white again. You can add a little of the white, I guess it's called gouache, I'm not quite sure, where it's kind of more like a permanent
white paint. And you'll see me add that, a little bit of that at the end there, just on some areas. So I actually got this idea from a YouTuber, and I'll go ahead and put her information in the description. And but her name is it's, if you go to her YouTube site, it's Lynns Watercolor Art. I forget what country she's in. She's not in the United States, but she's really good and has a lot of good technique. So trying to match that was pretty tough, but like I said, I always say it's a learning process, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. So. I did have a lot of fun doing this. It was very relaxing. So when I finished my my little Icy River there, and adding some more trees in to the foreground. And then I'm just kind of wetting the bottom of the paper again to add a little bit of color towards the bottom, and in the snow areas. Definitely needed a different brush. The brushes I have were not ideal for doing washes, and basically that's what you're doing. You're kind of doing a wash. So I'm adding in some shadows for some trees here on the ground, and got to keep in mind the direction of your sunlight and your sky there. When I was removing the masking tape, I did have a little area that stuck towards the top there, and so when I'm painting the top right there, I'm kind of working around the area that kind of ripped from the paper. So, but you know, you just recover and do the best you can do. And I'm doing these birch trees here and adding a little bit of a color into it there. And some fine details in after it kind of dries a little bit. So I'm adding some detail on the other birch trees that are a little closer. Not too much detail on the farther ones, but just enough to let you know what kind of tree it is, let you know that it's there. I'm just putting some branches in as well underneath the little areas that I had masked. Still had used some of that rubber masking. And when I take that rubber masking off, it'll make it nice and bright where the snow is. And then I'll add some shadows in there. Kind of got a little carried away with the shadows of the snow on top of the branches there. So I had to go back in with some of that white I was talking about and make it just a little bit brighter white. You can see the branches there. If you get an opportunity to try doing this painting, it's like I said, it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot by doing this. It was great. So I removed that masking, and you can see where the snow is on the branches there. Putting in some some of that white that I was talking about, that gouache, or I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but I'm just kind of putting a little bit of white around the edges to add a little bit more snow and a little bit more of the frozen parts next to the water there. And you got to be careful. You start getting carried away with that stuff, and then next thing you know, it starts giving you a little bit more problems because it's covering up your other colors and blending in with your watercolor a little bit. But I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Try to stay warm. And maybe I'll go sit by the fire for a little bit. Till next time.